Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to you all to the final Karma event of 2021. So, this event is centered around the topic of how to adapt your well-being practices for winter. So, for many of us, as evenings draw in and the weather turns, we appreciate that we can find that our well-being can dip slightly as we adjust to the new winter season. And so, with that in mind, we acknowledge that it can be particularly difficult to keep up with the same routine during the winter months. So, we wanted to explore ways that we can all adapt our well-being practices with this in mind during a time where we might be feeling a little less motivated, when it's like colder, darker evenings, darker mornings. And so, our aim for this event today is for you to leave feeling like you have a heightened understanding on how to implement more self kindness, more mindfulness for yourself, a heightened awareness of emotional intelligence, and how to approach self care in daily life. And how these skills can support your mental health and well-being through the winter. So, as many of you know, we are also running a special prize draw as part of this event for individuals and businesses who have donated in support of the wonderful Be Kind movement, our charity partner. And the donations, 100% of their donations, are all going towards Be Kind movement's Kindness in Schools program, of which we're delighted to have their founder later on sharing more about this, Pramela Puri. So the Kindness in Schools program is focused on teaching young children emotional intelligence and resilience skills, which is just amazing. Can you imagine what difference that would have made if you'd had that at your school? So so we're really delighted to have you all here and to celebrate and this final event of the year and to fundraise for such a wonderful cause. And speaking of speakers, we're also really delighted to have Devorah Brous joining us today, all the way from LA across the pond, who's going to be doing a very special talk for us around how we can grow through the seasons. Okay, so lots to get through today. And to start with, I'd like to welcome you all to join me in a special meditation practice to help us all feel more centered, more grounded in ourselves as we start this session together. All right, so this is called a self-protection cocoon meditation. And now this word I'm hearing of quite a lot at the moment, so I felt inspired to create a cocoon-based meditation for you all, especially during winter months when that's kind of quite natural to feel like you just want to hibernate and feel warm, feel cozy, and just to feel a bit protected from any anxieties you might be feeling. So I'd welcome you all to join me in this meditation. So if you want to just make sure that you're sitting comfortably in your chair, or if you'd like to lie down, feel free to do so. Be aware that you may feel a bit sleepy if you do that, but of course it's up to you. So making sure that you feel comfortable. I'll guide this as if you're sitting down. So a slightly aligned posture, hands just resting comfortably on your lap. And just taking a nice deep inhale. If you want to place your hands on your belly as well, to just feel the breath inhale and exhale. Just allow the breath to breathe in and out slowly at your own pace, in your own time. Breathing in through the nose if that's available to you. Of course, if you've got a cold, be kind to yourself. Breathe through the mouth or however you feel comfortable. The key thing here is slowing down the breath. Being conscious, being aware of our breath. We breathe every day, but how we breathe makes a big difference in terms of how we feel and how we behave. So allow your eyelids to close if you feel comfortable to do so. It just really helps to limit distractions. Noticing the breath going in and out. Just notice how that feels, to give yourself permission to slow down and to be present. And just being aware of how you feel without judgment, with compassion, with kindness to yourself. Notice any thoughts with kindness. Notice any sounds in this moment and anything that you feel in your body with compassion. And keeping your eyes closed, I just invite you to bring your two hands stretched above your head and then just placing them behind your head. Keeping the breath going in and out. And as you hold your hands there, I'd like you to set an intention for this position to help you gather any scattered thoughts that might be going through your mind right now. noticing any thoughts darting around your mind with an attitude of curiosity and kindness to yourself, reminding yourself that our thoughts in our minds are like guests in a house. Guests come and go. They're not permanent. It's the same as our thoughts. They simply represent what's happening in this moment. So just gather your thoughts. Feel as your arms are stretched and your hands placed at the back of your head. Just feel that powerful stance in becoming mindful, gathering your thoughts. Now, placing your hands there, I'd like you to just slowly move your hands, stretching your arms out, bringing them down, and then placing your hands behind your lower back. Keeping the breath going in and out. And this position is about setting your intention to bring awareness to how you feel in your body. Noticing what you feel, again, without judgment. And if you feel or notice any tension in any parts of your body as you hold this lower part of your back, with the next inhale, just take a nice deep breath into that space or those spaces of tension. And when your exhale's ready, just visualize like a puff of cloud. It just eases and disperses that tension. And just feel into this moment. So gathering the thoughts in your mind, gathering how you feel in your body. And now gently releasing your hands from your lower back, just stretch your arms wide over your head and hold them upright. A lovely, empowered stance, welcoming this energy. And I'd like you to visualize with your arms held high above your head, a white light of protection. This white light is vibrating around your being. You imagine that you're gathering this white light from above your head and it fills the energy field all around your body. Welcome this light. This light symbolizes protection, comfort, a knowing and a trust that you have all the resources within you to know what to do when you need support, a bit of self-care. As you take in another deep inhale and an exhale, with the exhale, just sealing in that energy by visualizing and bringing your arms around yourself as if you're hugging yourself. All right, so your arms come round, bringing your arms down in front of you, wrap them around yourself in a hug. And you're sealing in and visualizing yourself in this bubble of white light, knowing and experiencing that you are completely protected in this moment, trusting yourself. You know and experience that you are surrounded by this healing white light energy. You know and experience that you are open to transformation for your highest good. You know and experience that you are completely protected and open to this transformation. So feeling that lovely warmth and hug. The next inhale, you're going to release your hug and stretch your arms above your head, breathing in deeply as you do so. And exhaling as you allow your arms to float back down by your sides and then rest into your lap, keeping your eyes closed. And just hold this intention in your heart, knowing that you can tap into this cocoon of protection, this exercise, this transformation, and reminder of the resources that you have within you anytime that you need. Take a deep breath in and release. May this feeling, may this intention take you forward into the winter months, into the new year and beyond. And just very gently invite a little gentle movement in the body to signal the end of this practice. If you'd like to just hold your hands over your eyes for a moment and then slowly flicker your eyes open, just to adjust to the lighting in the room slowly, feel free to do so. I hope you found that helpful. A resetting and grounding exercise themed around this time of year, but also themed around ensuring you feel you can tap into this space of self-protection and healing anytime that you need to just reset and consider what it is that you need in any moment. Thank you, everyone. So we are now on to the next part of this event today, and I'm so delighted to welcome our first speaker. So I am just going to invite the lovely Devorah to join me on screen. Hello, Devorah. Hello. Oh, you're on mute.
Hello, so grateful to be here with you.
Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to invite you, Devorah. And just to give everyone a bit of context, so Devorah Brous is a TEDx speaker, an urban homesteader, a frontline community organizer, and the creator of From Soil to Soul. What a beautiful name that is, right? A non-profit founding executive director for nearly 20 years. Today, Devorah is a consultant, a writer, a ritualist that is deeply rooted at the nexus of burnout and renewal. Devorah guides individuals and institutions through transformative online sabbaticals that focus on regenerative practices for the inner and outer landscapes. So welcome, Devorah. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so very much. I feel excited to talk about this topic, particularly with the context that you just gave us about the cocoon and slipping into that space of hibernation that is winter. I'm here in Los Angeles, and winter is like 80-degree sunshine. It's beautiful, cloudless skies. And my point of reference is that our culture sort of demands what the LA weather demands of us, which is that we're sunny and bright-eyed and kind of ready to jump into the world every day of the year. And so I think in England, you have like sort of a different kind of experience. You actually have seasons.
We do, that's for sure. It's cold right now.
I would appreciate very much like that physical reminder. But right now you've given us a spiritual reminder, that it's okay to step into that place of comfort, and not always be on. Because I think in this grind culture that we all find ourselves in today, with that sort of demand of being in that frenetic pace of going and kind of continuing all the time to achieve and be at your most productive self, it doesn't really allow for us to slow down and regenerate. And so a lot of my work is inviting folks to take note of what's happening around us in order to glean lessons from nature.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just so fitting for this event. And I'm sure you can all see now the beauty of having Devorah join us today. And, you can sense, I'm sure, that passion and energy that Devorah has for preventing burnout and not feeling like we have to, join this grind that we can be socially conditioned to feel we have to do. So it's a beautiful, connection with the ethos that we have at Karma as well. So it's a real pleasure to have you here today, Devorah. And I'm going to let the stage be yours now. And thank you so much for your kind words about my exercise. I was hoping that it would complement what you're going to talk about. So over to you.
In so many ways. You'll see in just a moment just how many ways.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for welcoming me. And I know that my accent can be a little abrasive. The way we speak English can be a little grating on the ears. So I apologize for that.
Not at all.
But I will begin, and I will love to share that that I was very, very driven as a college activist at age 18. Like, I plunged deep into the currency of fighting for change and always showing up to speak truth to power, and what kind of activist would I be if I were tackling systemic injustices by also like coming home and having the comforts and the privileges that people with white skin privilege have in our world today. I took on a lot of guilt, and that made me like push even harder to affect change. And I was spending 15 years on the front lines in Israel and Palestine, where I ran a nonprofit. And so it just had me like very, very deep in this world of action all the time. I was working with communities of indigenous Bedouin that don't have access to drinking water. And we're living in like highly toxic environments surrounded by agro and petrochemical factories and a toxic waste incinerator and so forth. And so I ended up feeling very guilty a lot and very driven to affect change. And I worked hard. And after quite some time, I barreled straight into the clenched teeth of burnout. And like, just to zoom out and say that from my perspective, burnout strip mines our most precious resource, which is energy. And I feel like it's kind of the last frontier that has yet to be fully harnessed, by corporate cultures. It's like everything else has already been commodified except for our energy. And when we willingly step into a place to give everything we've got to our work, without remembering to take a moment to pause and regenerate, that can really not only like crush the spirit, but it can stagnate our movements for change. And it can stagnate the process and the effectiveness that we bring to our departments or to our teams, to our families. It can really hinder our health. So I really kind of lost contact with that sacred nexus where energy lives with will and passion, where we thrive, where we want to be kind to each other. I lost contact with that and just wanted to keep driving. And, we're not automatons. We're not built to do that. So I look at the world through the lens of regenerative agriculture. As an urban homesteader, an herbalist, I grow food and make medicine with herbs. So the plants have invited me to come back to a more centered place and helped me to ground. And so I thought that what I'd do today is I would share with you a really brief presentation to just kind of see if I can, give me a sec. I can try to pull it up here. Oops. I'm going to stop share. Tanya, can you give me a sec here?
Absolutely. Just take your time, Devorah, no problem.
I'll pop back in a sec.
Okay.
It's just coming up. Okay. I have to. Okay, my apologies.
No problem. We can see that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so in this context of like gleaning lessons from nature, the ways in which conventional industrial scale farming practices happen are very degenerative. They're degenerative for the farmers that are working around intensive synthetic chemicals and fertilizers, pesticides and miticides and biocides. It's very degenerative to the earth, to the soil microbiology. It's degenerative to the air quality and to the water, let alone to the people who eat the food that is grown in degenerative conventional farming systems. And so the world's kind of catching on to that by advancing sustainability. And I would say that organic agriculture is a lot like that sustainability. It's like, we can just keep going and sustain ourselves over time. We can just keep doing what we're doing and sustain. And that also doesn't leave room for this process of needing to cocoon and revitalize, which is summed up in terms of regenerative agriculture practices. And I'm really inspired by what we learn from regeneration. And so this model that I've built is built around the premise that we fallow during winter, but we also fallow at a certain point during every cycle of the day. You know, we fallow at nighttime when the sun sets, and it's kind of unnatural just to keep working until all hours of the night to maximize our productivity. It's like, we need to be able to slow down and shift gears. So we fallow. And I begin this model by thinking about this idea of cocooning that Tanya was sharing with us, because that's very deep also in the world of biology. So the first step in my model after following is we awaken from a deep night's restorative rest and we sow. And sowing is this metaphor for beginning, for choosing where to place our energy, choosing which soils we want to plant our seed into. And that can be a very empowering process, because it's really all about making careful and conscious decisions. And so I'm going to imagine that each one of us is like a seed that gets planted into fertile soil to begin a project at work. And that fertile seed is ensconced. It's kind of been tucked away. It's been fallowed. It's been dormant. But now, given the right conditions inside fertile soil with a sprinkle of water, it's going to begin to grow down and up at the same time. That seed is going to become a sprout or a shoot. And the idea of like balance or being aligned with our choices is very much about the consciousness that we bring to sowing in that first stage. And there's kind of excitement when you're beginning new projects or you're beginning your day. And so what is it inside that energy of starting something that we can glean in a regenerative framework? So I think of it as I'm sharing, that in each stage of this change cycle, regenerative change cycle, we get the chance to think about how to nourish each stage. So we've just started. For some folks, like jacking up on some Joe, having a strong coffee in the morning is the way to like begin your day. And for others, maybe it's a different practice that will help nourish and feed your nervous system, like having a nervine or a gentle tonic that may slowly awaken you at the same time that it's feeding your nervous system as you sow into the ground to begin your day. Okay. And the next stage in my cycle is about tending. And tending is the most rich and the most complicated, because when we're just beginning to start a new project, or even like start a new relationship, start something new that we've just sown into, that's when it's the most vulnerable. That's when we're the most vulnerable. And so if you notice in the garden, when your seedlings have now sprouted into baby plants, they're the most tender. Everyone and everything wants to attack. Every kind of insect wants to eat the new shoots of a baby plant. The birds, people trample on plants because they're still small. They're very vulnerable. Like our new creations in the world are the most tender in this phase. And so we get to choose, when we're tending, we get to choose how we respond to all of the perceived challenges and even threats to that are around us. And this idea that Tanya was sharing about cocooning, like sort of being kind to oneself, going slowly, tending, remembering that you're in that cocoon, even when you're not wrapped up in your blanket at night, hibernating, even when it's not winter and cold out, you can still tend and care for yourself and for those around you that are, connected to your project. So tending your department, tending your people, your team that's helping birth something in the world. And so the final stage is harvest. And we can't get to harvest where we're celebrating our successes unless we find ways of really feeding in that tending place, really, really finding ways to nourish and feed ourselves. So for me, that means also it's okay to not be on all the time, to not be perfect and beautiful all the time. In order to be kind in the world, we have to also give ourselves the chance to remember it's not uncommon in the natural world to molt. And these chickens don't look very beautiful right now, but this is part of their cycle. They're not actually producing eggs when they're molting. So I showed this picture too, because in the world that we live in, where folks are very tuned into the nutrient density in the vegetable crops, when you have good growing practices, when you're tending properly, it's very expensive to source baby vegetables and like to tend and treat ourselves like these baby vegetables. It's like, it's not something that is common. And in the market, most folks are going to choose to buy vegetables that are cheaper. Most donors are going to want to support nonprofits that are producing all the time. Most corporations are going to want to have employees around that are driven and working hard. And so the harvest that we make is kind of very different today in today's world, when the bottom line is what sells. But here you can see that a small basket of vegetables like this is selling for $91.49. It's kind of intense. How is that happening? Well, on the left, you'll see that the soil is degenerated. You cannot continue to grow conventionally farmed food and imagine that it's gonna be worth as much to the customers down the road as it would be if you were to be growing vegetables or producing products or growing relationships in the world from regenerated soils, which you see on the right side of my screen. These soils have the nutrient density that we need, that help grow and replicate vitality in the world. And so regeneration in invertebrates, you can see that you start off small, and when something is broken, it will regenerate by itself. And I love this idea so much, because I think that the concept of fallowing or cocooning is very much about regeneration. It's giving yourself the time to trust that if I allow myself to slip into a moment of meditation, even just 5 minutes before I have to give a presentation, 5 minutes before I have to have a department meeting, whatever your circumstances are, just to remember that coming from that place of regenerating your own energy source and finding your own inner fertility is the way of the world. Like the way this is where we're going. It's coming back to where we've been. It's going back to that safe place that we've all come from and going towards that sacred place that we all will end up at. This is regenerative soils. This is very different from dirt. This is our nature when we are able to be kind and to give to one another from that place of being fully present, grounded, and ready for whatever comes our way. So that's all I wanted to share. And I thought maybe I could open it up and we could have some conversation, some back and forth.
That was so beautiful. Thank you very much, Devorah, for sharing that, and just so empowering and such a fresh take on, you know, that metaphor and linking harvesting and fallowing and regeneration, regenerative, you know, nature of how we can actually support ourselves when it comes to, you know, our well-being and how we manage stress, how we prevent burnout. And, you know, I'd really encourage everyone to watch Devorah's TED Talk on this topic. It's just wonderful. We'll share the link in our follow-up newsletter tomorrow. But does anyone have any questions for Devorah at this stage? Please feel free to pop it in the Q&A function you can see on the bar of the screen, or just in the chat box. Are there any questions that you have? Whilst people are thinking of questions, how can people connect with you, Devorah, following this? How can they stay in touch with the work that you're doing? And tell us a bit more about how you help people as well.
Oh, sure. I just help folks switch out of that mindset that the only thing that matters is our harvest. Like, how big was your yield? And what I do is I offer a lot of different workshops. Many of them are free. I offer a lot of courses. Right now I'm in a 7-month course, and we're exploring the value of the original, like the ancient sabbatical practices. Very different from like, did you know that 4% of corporations in the United States will offer a sabbatical to the folks on staff? Only 4%.
4%. Wow.
Offer a paid sabbatical. All the rest, it's like, it's on you. If you're getting tired, you're feeling depleted, it's on you. Take an unpaid leave. You may or may not have your job when you come back. And so I'm working with folks to help kind of redefine what it looks like to have an ancient sabbatical outlook, which is to take the regenerative cycles and to find ways of supporting the whole collective by pausing and reflecting at certain points in each season. So we take natural pause to celebrate our successes, celebrate the harvest, rethink, rejigger, rejudge what needs to get, you know, improved.
Yeah.
How to improve the soil. We have to keep feeding fresh compost into the soil, so we don't just keep going and going and going all the time. So I'm doing a lot of work with that, and folks can find me on my website.
Yes, and that's from soil 2 with the letter 2, soil. Soil 2 soul.
Number.
Yeah, number 2. Fantastic. And yeah, again, I love metaphors anyway, because I think there's so many metaphors that can really stand in our minds, and so many of us are visual people, and it's nice to have a visual that sticks, you know, and that stays with us, particularly when we're thinking of our mental health and well-being, you know, to have these visuals that we can tap into. So I really love that regenerative cycle process that you shared. Thank you so much for that. And it's just so important, the work that you're doing around sabbaticals. Like, you just don't hear enough about it, and it's crucial. It's so important to take that time out for yourself once in a while. And you do that globally, don't you, with businesses in different parts of the world, virtually?
I do. Yeah, I do. I want to also share one piece of this, which is about health. And I love that we're partnering with the Be Kind movement, because I was thinking, for some folks, mental health and kind of spiritual wellness and self-care is like an indulgence. And for all of us, what we need to understand is that soul care is primary. Like, we can't function fully and be whole in the world without taking more conscious steps to feed our wellness, to grow healthy food, grow healthy spirits, grow healthy relationships. So I just want to kind of also leave us with this idea that the health of our organizations and our companies is reflected by the health of each of the parts of the relationships that we have and the way that folks feel. And we see that over 75% of millennials have already experienced burnout. Like, the numbers are just skyrocketing. And so what I wanted to do was kind of leave us with a question. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to address, but I didn't see any come
There's
through.
actually one that's just come through now. Yeah, so thank you for that, Devorah. And Claire, lovely to have you back at one of our events. Claire, thank you for joining. So Claire is asking, how do you start to have these conversations within your organization, especially when yield is often the dominant measure of success? Very good question there. Thank you. Over to you, Devorah.
Yeah, I love that question, Claire, because really it's a whole reframing. And I think that the regenerative agriculture paradigm helps. It's like you might get a bigger potato that would weigh more in the market, but if you're going to have several smaller sweet potatoes that grow from, a small scale system that have higher nutrient density, then we're not necessarily measuring weight. We're measuring nutrient availability. We can uptake more nutrition by having something that's sometimes smaller than what you're used to seeing, like bigger is better in the world. So I think that using metaphor in a conversation with your departments, with the folks up north, with your team leadership, is a way to begin the conversation. There's also no shortage of research that really documents that we're sort of veering out of control. It's not just that millennials are burning out. It's like many folks are crashing because they're burning, like they're crashing because they haven't taken a pause to take care of our health. So it's like, do you want to end up having an illness for the rest of your days? Something, an autoimmune condition, or the necessity to take medicines to address some kind of illness that you have, a disease, for the rest of your life? Or do you want to figure out now how to find a deeper sense of balance and appreciation for the small wins in the harvest, the small wins? The smaller potatoes, not just the big ones.
Yeah.
But I think I will leave us off with this. I know we have this idea of kindness as a big theme for today's event as well. And I'm thinking, for some of us, you have to get really sick before you slow down and change your rhythm. And for others, maybe we can tune into whether we are tune into ourselves before we are unkind to someone else, because that's a good sign too. If I am replenished, I can be kind. Even if I don't see eye to eye with you, I can still be kind and respectful. If I'm exhausted and depleted, and if I'm degenerating and not being fed, I'm not feeding myself, it's going to be much more difficult to show up and be kind. And so I would love to just invite us to think about that idea of like wrapping in a cocoon and asking ourselves the next time that we find ourselves a little snappy, a little jumpy at somebody else, like, do I need to take a pause here before this spirals deeper into me saying and doing things that are really not straight up in alignment, and maybe not bringing my best self to this project, this relationship, this experience, this moment.
Absolutely. And that feeds so beautifully into the next part of what we'll be exploring in a moment. So thank you very much for setting that up. There we go. Thank you, Claire, for that great question and a wonderful answer, Devorah. So I want to say a big thank you for joining us today, for sharing your wisdom with us. Like I said, we always send a post-event newsletter the day after for all our attendees to have more information and so they can follow up with all the wonderful guests that we have. So I'll share your details in that newsletter as well. And Odette is just sharing in the chat box, honoring the pause is self-care. Beautiful note there as well. Thank you so much, Odette. Wonderful. Thank you, Devorah. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Take good care of yourself. Oh, how wonderful was that? So, how's everyone feeling? On that note of kindness that Devorah was just sharing, just a reminder to everyone that alongside learning different techniques, which we're sharing with you today to support your mental health, we are raising funds to support the lovely Be Kind Movement's Kindness in School program, which is so empowering. Premila will be sharing more information about that with you shortly. And we are also going to announce our winners of the prize draw in a little while when we speak to Premila as well. So just a reminder that the individual prize draw for a donation of £5 to £10, the individual will receive access to Karma's self-kindness e-course, mindfulness e-course, a copy of Karma's working from home guide plus Karma calendar worksheet, and access to an exclusive screening of Be Kind Movement's short film Itsy. And for businesses who donated about up to £50, they will receive a 1-hour mental health webinar for their organization, courtesy of Karma, marketing for their business in December across Karma and Be Kind Movement's social channels, and access to Be Kind Movement's short film Itsy. So we'll be announcing the winners of these prize draws shortly. So before we do, I'm just going to share a few insights and techniques around emotional intelligence. Again, feeding in really nicely actually to that last point that Devorah was making. And actually, to be fair, the whole talk that Devorah just gave really sets up the scene beautifully for this part. So, as well as sharing information, insights with you all today, always a core purpose of our Karma events is to give you strategies and tools to walk away with as well that you can implement straight away. So to start with, I just want to get you thinking about emotional intelligence and what that means to you. Thank you, Claire, for your kind comment as well. Feel free to share in the chat box, what does emotional intelligence mean to you when you hear that? Because we do hear this quite a lot, and this also sets up my talk with Premila in a little while, and Pramila's presentation. Do you see what we're doing? We're just connecting loads of dots throughout the event today. It's been very well thought out. So what does emotional intelligence mean to you? Because it's like the question of what's the difference between empathy and sympathy. It's like words that we hear of a lot, but do we actually know the intricate details of what they actually mean and the differences? So we hear about emotional intelligence and resilience. They're two very different things, but they complement one another, right? So resilience, the idea of sort of not just bouncing back from adversity and challenges that you face, but also how you adapt, how you learn from difficult situations, what you might do differently in the future if you were to face a difficulty of a similar nature again, how you help yourself to gain a sense of control in your circumstances around situations that you find challenging. And emotional intelligence complements how to build and strengthen resilience, build your inner strength, tap into your inner resources to help you move through difficulties and learn from challenges. So if there are any thoughts, feel free to share in the chat box around emotional intelligence. And I'm going to share an overview of what this is as well. So just checking. Thank you, Claire. So just to highlight what this is, I just wanted to open it up first, but I'll go into the answer now. So there are 5 key aspects of emotional intelligence, and there's an American psychologist who has really helped to popularize the whole understanding around emotional intelligence called Daniel Goleman. And he identifies 5 key elements, which starts with self-awareness, starting with the self, heightening and deepening your sense of self-awareness, understanding yourself in the best way that you can, your triggers, how you respond to situations. So this leads on to the second point around self-regulation, how you regulate your emotions and your feelings in response to what you're going through. Motivation, how you motivate yourself to take action as a result of that, what you do with your actions. And the fourth step is around social awareness. And this includes empathy, right? That idea of understanding others that bit deeper. So when you are heightened in your awareness of yourself, you're in a better position to be heightened in your awareness of others. And then that's the 5th skill around social skills. So how you then feel in a better position to read the emotions of other people, not just yourself, but others too, because you're tuning into your emotional state and how you process your emotions. It puts you in a better position to be able to recognize and notice emotions in others as well. So self-awareness, self-regulation, self-motivation, social awareness, and social skills. So that just gives you a kind of overview of what we're talking about when we talk about emotional intelligence. So when we talk about resilience, you can see how these two complement one another. So when you're going through times of difficulty, challenge, change, trauma, and overcoming adversity, it takes a lot, including support from others, much of the time, when needed, to pick yourself up and move forward from a difficult situation. And you often learn a lot about yourself, and often strengths that you didn't know that you had. And so to learn how to adapt in the face of adversity, to recognize what you've learned and can move forward with, this feeds into how you grow in your heightened state of self-awareness, how you learn to regulate and process and understand your emotions in accordance with difficulties that you've been through, name them, process them, understand them, what it then leads you to and motivates you to do as a result. And having that heightened awareness of your own resilience skills and emotional awareness, you're then in a better position to be able to be aware of others' emotions and improve your social skills. So I hope that that helps in an overview. And I'm going to share just a technique with you, just a couple techniques actually, because there's one around the stress response that I think is just really helpful. And again, it's inspired by a professional in this space of neuroscience called Dr. David Siegel, and he does this hand model of the brain. And his whole premise is that when we can actually see in front of us what's going on in the brain, then we can change what the brain does. So as a kind of practical exercise, I'd like you to just hold out your hand like this, and then you cup your thumb in like that and then close down. All right, so this is like the model of the brain that he talks about. So he says that the spinal cord comes up here representing the wrist, and then up into the skull, which is around here, and the brain stem, and then the limbic area around here, which all work together to regulate emotions and the fight, flight, freeze response. So this is the stress response in the brain, deep in this part of the brain here. If you imagine, this represents the stress response. It's like the fear center of the brain. It's very primitive in nature. Its primary focus is to keep you safe and away from danger. That's what it cares about. So everyone experiences stress in different ways. And there's no need for comparison, because we just all experience it in different ways for ourselves. It's all relative, okay? So this part here is representative of the prefrontal cortex. So this is the higher part of the brain, sometimes talked about as the more human evolved part of the brain, but this is what helps to regulate that stress response area, okay? So when you are feeling triggered by something, when you feel, your stress levels are heightening, you can flip your lid. You know that expression, right? So that's what he talks about with this hand model. So you can flip our lid when we're responding directly to stress. Emotions rise up, you feel them bubbling up. And if we don't take a step back from that, we can often sometimes say things that we regret, or we respond in a way that we wish we'd done differently later. And the easy thing to do is react, because we're coming from that place of trying to keep safe and away from danger. So we detect something that's threatening, stressful, dangerous, and we will just want to protect ourselves. So the skills come in learning how to tap into this part of the brain more, and learning that there are these core functions of the brain that need to work in tandem together in order to respond effectively to stress, right? So I hope this is helpful. I've always found this super helpful, this model by Dr. David Siegel. So it's this hand model of the brain. So we want to do as best we can when we notice those stress responses bubbling up, to understand, okay, this is where I'm responding from right now. This isn't always going to be so helpful to me. What can I do to create a bit of space to step back and tap into this part of the brain, which handles logical thinking, planning, doing, effective decision-making skills? It's that part of the brain, right? So we don't necessarily get that when we're responding only from this stress response part of the brain. So the idea with understanding and reminding ourselves of this hand model, where am I coming from? Where am I responding from? Okay, what can I do to come back to this part of the brain here, so I'm not just reacting straight away? It's giving ourselves a permission to take a step back. And when you name what it is that you need, the idea is that you can actually tame your reaction, and it helps you make sense of what's going on in terms of emotional communication, and how we deal with and navigate different challenges in day-to-day life. So you can find out more about that exercise online, but I just wanted to share that with you for those who may not have heard of it yet or come across it. I've always found that really helpful. So with that in mind, I'm now going to just share with you a really short exercise, a mindfulness exercise. that complements this. So how can we take a step back, especially when we're feeling really fired up in the moment and upset or stressed about something? So this is one of my favorite, very simple mindfulness techniques, and it's called 5-4-3-2-1. So you can do it in a lengthened version, you can do it in a shorter version. That's the beauty of this exercise. And I'll just lead you through it. So just taking in a deep breath. Remember, everything anchors back to our breathing, because our breathing can shift and change if we're feeling stressed, or if we're feeling light and positive, right? We can tighten our breathing up, and it feels constricted when we're stressed. And when we're feeling more relaxed, the pathways open a lot more. Naturally, our body regulates our breathing better. So just taking in a deep breath when you're feeling heightened state of stress. In through the nose, out through the mouth, okay? And then when you take a deep breath in again, I want you to just look around the room that you're in. Notice 5 things that you see. Okay, 5 objects around the room as you regulate your breathing in and out. And once you've noticed 5 things, keep the breathing going. I want you to then notice 4 things that you feel, whether it's what you feel in your body, where you're sitting, if it's a sensation you notice in your body in that moment, if you notice the temperature in your body, if you notice, the hair on your neck, anything that a touch sensation that you feel. 4 things. And then noticing 3 things that you can hear in this moment. So for you, my voice might be one of them. If it's the whir of your computer machine, if it's a noise going on outside the room that you're sitting in, if it's a pet you've got nearby, whatever it is. So just noticing 3 things that you hear. And then 2 things that you smell. So tapping into your smell sense, so taking in a deep breath in. Can you notice 2 things? Is there a candle nearby? Is there a plant nearby, or flowers, or anything else? Or do you just smell that kind of a fresh burst of air? And then finally, 1 thing that you taste. So what do you taste in this moment? Have you just had a snack? Have you had a drink? Is there anything that you can taste in your mouth? So heightening these 5 sensory receptors. And then coming back into the moment, asking yourself this question: what do I need right now? Okay, so you've gone from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, just taking a step back from whatever it is that's just going on, trying to come back into this part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex. And if you don't have that time to spend that just a couple of minutes, but if you don't really have that time and you're literally in the moment, you have to make a decision about something, or you're speaking to someone, you feel heightened stress levels, just breathe in. Your body language can do the talking. You can nod, along. All right. So you don't have to answer someone straight away, but as you breathe in your mind, you're thinking, as you breathe out, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, before responding. And it just gives you that little bit of space to consider your response, to consider what you need if you've got a short period of time. Okay. So that's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. So I hope that you're gathering lots of ideas and thoughts and from the theory and also practical tools that both Devorah and I have shared with you so far. So thank you very much, everyone. With that in mind, we are on to our final speaker of the evening, Pramela Puri, who I'm just going to bring onto the screen now. And I believe we're also going to, hello, Premila. How are you doing?
I am good, Tanya. Thank you for having me.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you for being here. And I think we will announce the winners. Be good timing. Now that you've come on the screen, we can talk about who has won the prize draw. And again, thank you to everyone who has donated. 100% of the donations are going towards Be Kind Movement's Kindness in Schools program, which Premila will tell you more about shortly. And drum roll, please. We have the winners' names. And for the individual prize draw, it is Kim Miller. Thank you so much, Kim, for donating. I can see that you're joining us live today, which is wonderful. So congratulations. We'll be in touch with you individually. You have won the prize draw of self-kindness access to the e-course, access to the self-kindness e-course, even just flipping my words around there, a working from home guide and the ITSY film screening. And then the next drum roll for the business prize draw is Rickard Luckin, a wonderful client of Karma's as well. So thank you so much, Rickard Luckin team, for donating. And they'll be winning a Karma webinar as well as marketing from both Be Kind Movement and Karma. And the ITSY screening. So thank you all so much. Really appreciate it. And thank you to every single person who donated. It really does make such a meaningful difference. Every single penny counts. So we really, really value and appreciate everyone's donations. And the grand total of what we have raised for this event today so far is £265. And you can still donate by going onto the Be Kind Movement website, which Premila will share more with you. So welcome, Premila. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you very much. I just want to give everyone a bit of context about what a fabulous woman you are. So, you. Yes, lady. So everybody, so Be Kind Movement is an award-winning charity that promotes the development of emotional intelligence skills in children and young people through the education of kindness. So using the visual medium of film, Be Kind Movement is committed to providing learning opportunities through their flagship Kindness in School program that educates the hearts and minds of children and young people. So really delighted to be joined by Pramila Puri today, who is a film producer, kindness consultant. I love that title, by the way, I'm just saying. Founder of the Kindness in Film Summit, which was launched this year, and is the CEO of Be Kind Movement. So very impressive lady joining us here today. Thank you.
Way too kind, Tanya.
It's be kind, right? No, I speak the truth. So thank you for being here. I'm going to hand it over to you because I know you've got a presentation that you would like to share with us. So the stage is yours.
Fabulous. So great. Let me get started now. Just give me a second. Just bear with me, everyone. Here we go. Share screen. Hopefully you're able to see that.
Looks good, Premila. Thank you.
Okay, lovely. So hi, everyone. Welcome to the session which I've titled Making Kindness the Norm. So I'd like to start off actually by showing you a little video that we put together a little while back, and it tells you a little bit about the charity, the types of projects that we lead, and it sort of nicely leads into the presentation, which I'll be sharing with you in about 4 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes, because that's how long the video is. So let's get started with bear with me. No. Let's go back. We will get there. There we go. Hello, everyone. My name is Pramela Puri, and I'm the founder of UK-based charity called Be Kind Movement. We promote the development of emotional intelligence skills in children and young people using the power of kindness and the medium of films.
Be Kind Movement was established in 2015 by Pramila Puri, who experienced the effects that a culture lacking in kindness can have on young people. As a child, Premila was bullied, an experience that stayed with her and eventually led her to set up Be Kind Movement. Be Kind Movement promotes the development of emotional intelligence skills in children and young people through the education of kindness, which helps to prepare them for the challenges they face as children today and as adults tomorrow. Using the medium of films, the charity delivers kindness workshops in schools as an early intervention and prevention tool that promotes 10 kindness values. Kindness workshops help children to appreciate and apply the value of kindness to their daily lives and acknowledge its impact on others around them. These 10 kindness values help to build skills in children, such as social awareness, managing their inner emotions, and building strong relationships, all of which help to equip them with coping techniques to tackle bullying in the playground, to dealing with loneliness, or to dealing with racism.
So Be Kind Movement's work involves running kindness workshops in schools for children and young people, where we educate children on the importance of kindness and the impact of kindness or lack of it on them and the world around them. Some of our other campaigns have included Kindness During Christmas campaign, where we've delivered Christmas gifts to children and their siblings from low-income families. And currently we're working on creating a digital educational resource based on an award-winning short film called ITZY that charity commissioned. So here's a little preview of our work and of one of our animation episodes. Hope you enjoy it. Memorable?
Inspiring, creative, engaging.
You have to be kind to everyone because they may be going through something that you don't know about, and you have to try and comfort them.
I thought it was really inspiring because last week was anti-bullying week, and I thought it would be really helpful because kindness can really show also in bullying.
I think kindness is fundamental really to being a good person, and it's something that is interwoven throughout all of our curriculum. So any opportunity really for the children to learn more and consolidate what they already know about being kind is really, really important.
My name is Claire Mitchell. I'm the Associate Head Teacher at St Mary's Primary School in Battersea, and we're very grateful and happy today to meet the founders of the Be Kind movement and be able to see the looks on the children's faces when special Christmas gifts were given to them today. It was a very overwhelming moment for some of the children, and I know for the families it will mean an awful lot this Christmas. It's been a very hard year, and I know that this kindness is going to mean so much to them. And even with the addition of the siblings in the family receiving a gift as well is something a bit extra special. So we're very grateful to all the people who have donated and enabled the Be Kind movement to give the gifts today to our wonderful children. So many, many thanks.
For the Christmas gift, and this means a lot to me and my family, especially CJ. So thank you, CJ. Thank you very much.
I'd skip lunch if I were her.
Yeah, head to the gym, fatty.
Hey there, you're not alone. You are perfect, just as you are. Please eat your sandwich. It's not a nice feeling to be laughed at for the way that you look. Judging someone's appearance is rude and it's hurtful. Instead, try giving people compliments and spread kindness. You could really make someone's day.
Well, I hope you enjoyed watching the video and that it's given you a flavor of who we are and what we do, especially kindness workshops and the digital resource is especially vital during these challenging times of COVID-19, where issues such as loneliness and anxiety and stress have all contributed to a steep increase in mental health issues. So we would love your support, whether it is recommending us to schools for kindness workshops, or whether it is subscribing to our newsletter via our website, or of course simply supporting us through our fundraising campaigns. So really appreciate you watching the video and taking your time to learn a little bit more about Be Kind movement. Have a great day. Okay, so I hope everyone enjoyed that, and I am going to have a great day. Oops. Bear with we go. Hello, everyone. No, here we go. I hope that is visible to everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed the little video, which just gave you hopefully a sense of, why I started the charity, and what it is that we do. And so why we exist. There are two reasons why I would say fundamentally Be Kind Movement came into being. One is certainly the fact that I personally felt that there was a need to embed a kindness within the fabric of our school's DNA. And I think the reason for that was simply it's something that I really missed when I was growing up. As the video mentioned, I was bullied growing up. So recognizing that, the school environment can be very challenging for children, whether it's bullying or whether it's racism. I think there is also the whole transition where children can find it very hard to, when they move from primary to secondary schools, up school. There is, of course, without a doubt, the focus that is higher the focus that is much more on academic skills than it is on soft skills, although, things are beginning to change and you find a lot of schools putting a lot of emphasis on, learning the more softer, more creative skills. And I think one of the reasons that for me, it was really important to try and create this kindness in school program was looking at building those skills for life. And as Tanya has mentioned, the emotional intelligence skills is a theme that runs through this workshop. So emotional intelligence skills figured really, really highly when I was creating the kindness in school program. And of course, when you look at society, where we are in the world at the moment with high mental health statistics, you look at crime, violence, drug abuse, that there is room for our education system to try to instill the kind of values that will really, put you in a more advantageous position, getting my words mixed up. I've had a whole day running a workshop on being a kind superhero. So excuse me as I try to, like I said, put my tongue back in my mouth. So that's really believing why the need for kindness is so important in our education sphere. But of course, we've also come across, the mental health issue, which even pre-pandemic, we were already sitting on a ticking time bomb, and without a doubt, with COVID-19 kicking in, it's completely exacerbated matters, especially for vulnerable children who've really adversely been impacted by COVID-19 due to school closures, which really has had an impact around neglect, abuse, feelings of isolation, anxiety, not to mention, the financial problems that are faced by a lot of families due to COVID-19. So what is it that we do? So we entertain with films, we educate, and we empower. So we entertain with films, which is, a really powerful way of empowering and establishing an emotional connection for children and young people, no matter what their family background or learning abilities are like. So we really put films at the heart of every child's learning experience, whether it's educational, whether it's cultural, or personal development, and therefore helping open their eyes to the diversity of the world. We have put together a kindness in school program. So that is what really underpins the entire kindness framework. So the kindness framework consists of the 10 values, which you would have seen in the video. And these 10 values, we instill in children through our workshops, because we believe these assist children in building their emotional intelligence skills. Those 5 core intelligence EQ competencies that Tanya mentioned earlier. And really, it's an early intervention and preventative tool that nurtures a really positive mindset and an aspirational mindset in children that really builds a strong sense of emotional, physical and mental well-being, and in children and young people, really preparing them not just to deal with issues they may face, if they're in the playground, but also as they grow up to be young adults who move, into the corporate world, into the working world, which of course is there are always challenges working within the corporate world or within any working scenario. So our workshops are very much inspired by phenomenal based learning, which involves watching short films, dissecting short films. There's a lot of role playing. There is a lot of creative games that children get involved with. And I guess we empower them with a lot of tools and techniques, essentially a toolkit of life skills, that enhances their emotional and mental well-being, and which helps them deal with conflicts and deal with issues such as racism, such as peer pressure. The animation that you saw was around, appearances. So what we do in these workshops, when we look at the feedback we get from children and young people, it is really incredible to get them to think about the impact of kindness, not just on everyone around them, but also the impact of kindness on themselves, which I really feel that sometimes you cannot extend your hand to help someone else if you're not coming from a place of love and caring. So I think, it's really important to fasten your own seatbelt before you try to help someone else. So I think self-compassion and kindness are just so important. And, as you can see in the box, which is sort of like, the pencil stroke rubber, you have kindness to yourself and kindness to others. And we have taken those 5 competencies in emotional intelligence, which define emotional intelligence, and we have ascribed 2 values, 2 kindness values to each competency. So, if you are looking at let's look at what we have here. If you're looking at self-awareness, it is about inculcating in children the importance of integrity, knowing what to do. That is the difference between right and wrong. Self-management, which again, Tanya spoke, which Deborah spoke about, which is so important. The piece around resilience and being mindful, not looking to suppress your emotions, actually allowing them to be and dealing with them. So we take each competency and we say there are 2 kindness values, and then each value of kindness is a workshop that we deliver in schools. And what are our projects and campaigns? We've led a number of different projects and campaigns, actually. Really interestingly enough, of course, there are the kindness workshops. We've delivered them across Wandsworth, which is where the charity is based. We've delivered workshops in Ealing, in Acton, but also, throughout the rest of the UK with multi-academies. We have launched the Christmas campaign, which you saw in the video. We also had a really incredible campaign last year. In fact, we were in the heart of COVID, which was called Kindness During Photography campaign, where we asked members of the public to send us images of, oops, excuse me, that's my phone falling down off my table. And basically the Kindness During Photography campaign led to these incredible images and videos coming through. And we put that together into a short video, which is on YouTube, but that is also part of our Kindness in School program, which we actually showcase to children in sort of early school years in reception. And that just goes down like a treat. The workshop I was talking to you about earlier that I delivered today was all around the kind superhero. It was going into a secondary school and working with children to get them to identify issues in their neighborhood and getting them to put on, their cape and to think about kind solutions to whatever the issues may be that, they're facing, whether it's bullying or it's peer pressure. So we've run programs like that. We've run a kindness detective, which is getting children to go into the communities and look for stories of bravery and courage. So not to look, at the next teenage sensation on Instagram, but to actually find their neighbors who may have some wonderful stories. And that project that we ran, the feedback we got from students and the staff was the amazing way in which the children sort of connected with their communities, especially after a year of lockdown and isolation. So you've already seen one of the ITZY animation. We produced the ITZY film, and I just felt that ITZY literally had, no pun intended, lots of legs to carry itself forward. So we have reimagined ITZY, the short film, to be the friendly neighborhood spider that guides children in various themes. And so we're producing animation around that, and that was one of the pilot episodes that you actually saw. So moving on from here, we've been really fortunate in the last year. We are a small charity, but we had a huge influx of volunteers who came through during the period of lockdown, looking to get experience, looking to put something in, and that had an incredible impact on our output. And as you can see, those are the various grants that we won. And as a small charity, we actually experienced 166% increase in our revenue, which is just phenomenal. So from National Lottery to the Post Office to Tesco, we were just very blessed in the last year. And the impact, of course, through everything that we do is the idea of prevention is better than cure, starting early with primary school children, embedding those values at a very, very young age, getting children to start talking about their feelings, getting them to, and we've had, children say in classes, I will try not to be so hard on myself. It is just really incredible to hear that. I just wish that when I was growing up, I was privy to that type of environment, the very encouraging environment where it was okay to feel the way you were feeling. It was okay to talk about loneliness and companionship, etc. And like I keep saying over again, it's all about equipping these young people with the right mindset, with the right techniques, with the right tools to ensure that, if somebody is being rude to them, they are not taking things personally. In fact, they're strong enough to go, actually, maybe that person is going through a battle that I know nothing about. So getting somebody to get to that stage where they have that kind of confidence and self-esteem and with minimum self-doubt takes a lot of work. But that is the goal, to get these young souls to really start with self-compassion. And I think that is one thing, the self-compassion side. And the other part is, of course, the transformative power of kindness on others, that ripple effect that we talk of, that boomerang effect that we talk of. So yes, these workshops help to shape and nurture the perspective of these children with kindness values, such as gratitude and resilience and, compassion. And it really is building emotional intelligence skills for life. So, we get often asked, like, how can we help? How can we make a difference? So, so I've just listed, some of the key areas where we are always looking for some support. So whether it's core costs, which is just really the operational cost that any business has, from its website cost to its social media platform costs. So those costs are, you know, isn't, the core costs are not always something that is funded by grants. Grants that we get often cover projects such as going and delivering a digital film workshop. So that's one area that we always say, you know, please have a look on our website, become regular givers, or participate in our fundraising campaigns. The other area is, of course, education, because education is the engine of Be Kind movement. Without our content, we would be nowhere. So it is the content that we take into primary and secondary schools, and not just, you know, the workshops and the 10 values of kindness, but also thematic modules, whether it's on migration or refugees. How can we embed a culture of kindness towards others? And I think what we've discovered in the last year is that we virtually every week get a lot of requests. And this has completely come down to the fact that mental health issues have escalated due to COVID-19. So the demand, and this is translated into increased demand for our educational services. So, you know, help support our work by sponsoring kindness workshops or speaking to your local school if they'd be interested in running the workshops. And one of the areas, again, that has blossomed in the last year is partnerships. So we're always really, really happy to talk to businesses and see, you know, how they can, where our values come together. And I would say Karma, for example, are such a great example of where, you know, we speak the same language, we share the same values, and we've been working together for what feels like several years, but, you know, it's coming up to 2 years. And it's been wonderful to have Tanya be there with us in our journey as we have exploded in size and growth. We have some wonderful partners as well, with Kind Natured, who are a beauty retailer, and we have a logo on their products that sells in Boots. But we equally have partners such as, you know, Enjoy Stevie, who are a discounted platform, and they provide incredible in-kind services. So we just love to hear from people and organizations and see how, you know, we can talk to their employees and talk to them about kindness, and how can you get employees involved, how you can get organizations involved. I think there's so many different ways to make a difference, and it's not just monetary. It's the volunteering side. It's the it's just spreading the word. It's sharing, you know, what you think is really important, impact wise within your community. So, and I think that's the last slide. I have no idea, Tanya, how I'm doing on time because my mobile fell down. So let me just stop sharing this. There you go.
There we are. Thank you so much.
Let me just pick up my mobile.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll be right back on screen. Hi.
Good. Hello. Thank you so much for that presentation. So informative. And yeah, it's been incredible to see how much you've grown in a relatively short space of time. Like you said, a couple of years, it does go by quite quickly, and it's just been wonderful to see how much support you've gained. So yes, we have a couple of minutes left. I just want to open it up to those those in our audience who have joined us today. If you have any questions for Pramila, please do share in the chat box or in the Q&A box. Love to hear. But yes, you've seen as well how you can stay in touch with Be Kind Movement, how you can follow them on social. We'll of course be sharing their details in our follow-up newsletter tomorrow as well. And yes, a huge thank you, Pramila. It's been wonderful to have you here and share your inspiration. Can I just say how sweet that video was? Just so lovely.
Oh, thank you. I think it always moves people because they don't expect this little animation to be thrown in, you know, which is really cute. And then the Christmas campaign. So it always seems to warm people up, and especially with the little kids talking. So I'm glad that you felt the same way.
Definitely. Oh God, you can't help but have it tug on your heartstrings, right? Especially when they're just like it's really important to be kind to people, and it helps people. And just seeing their little responses, it's powerful. It's powerful to think if every child actually took that on board. Just imagine what kind of transformative power that would have, really, and influence, for others around them. So, you're doing wonderful, wonderful work. So thank you for all that you and your team do.
No, thank you very much. Thank you for hosting this event for Be Kind Movement. I just want to also thank everybody who has attended, who has contributed in their donations. Just really very grateful for the support and for the consideration. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. So just before we head off, it doesn't look like there are any questions at the moment. I was going to ask you your thoughts on emotional intelligence, but I think you covered that really well within the presentation and highlighting that. And I know that you've got a couple of things to just highlight to everyone as well. So like any campaigns that you're working on at the moment?
I guess the one that I would love to just give a shout out to is the Digital Kindness Academy. So, we go and deliver our kindness workshops face to face, but over the last year, one of the things we took away was the importance of having an online platform whereby actually we could digitize our kindness workshops and bring them home, so to speak. There is a huge community of children who homeschool anyway, even pre-pandemic. I think there are lots of schools within the UK and globally that would absolutely benefit as well from having workshops, but also having inspiring speakers like yourself come and talk about well-being and mindfulness, and have all kinds of resources, have the ITZY animation. So we're at the moment fundraising, and Aviva have been brilliant. Their employees are contributing, I think they're allowed to contribute £25. So would love for anyone who's interested in checking out what the campaign's all about to, and Tanya, I can always send you the link for the newsletter or for the social media channels. So I'd love, if anyone wants to check it out, that would be amazing. And yeah, I'm totally excited about sort of that being the next big project that we're focusing on.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And it makes so much sense given the landscape of how everyone's sort of working and connecting and communicating nowadays. Like nothing beats that in-person connection when you're doing those live workshops, but to also have that option online for people to connect is brilliant. And how about how people can get involved? I understand there's something going on with the Charity Film Awards. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. So we have actually entered a little cute film called Making Kindness the Norm into Charity Film Awards, and it's run by Smiley Movement. So at the moment, where they are at is that they are asking the public to vote for, charity films, and ours is in the kind of micro charity category. So we're inviting people to go and check out our film, and if they like it, to vote for us. And as always, if you win, there is just so much attention drawn to the work that you do, the awareness that you're trying to raise for your charity. So that along with the fundraising campaign are the two campaigns that we're really focusing on right now. And I think, Tanya, you've got the link to the Charity Film Awards as well, don't you?
Yeah, we'll share that as well in the newsletter tomorrow. No problem.
Fabulous.
And can we just take a moment to recognise that you recently won the award for Charity of the Year at the Best Business Women Awards?
Oh, wow, that feels like months ago, back, in over the summer, but it was just 2 months ago, a month ago.
Yeah, October, wasn't it? I think, or September. Yeah. So much praise to you, and well deserved as well. So well done for that. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you for that, Tanya.
Of course.
Always supportive.
100%, absolutely. So thank you so much. I think that wraps things up for now. So for everybody who's joined and those watching the replay later, just a few takeaways to consider now. I'd encourage you to just grab a pen and a piece of paper and just write down any key takeaways from the event today. There's been a lot of information shared, a lot of tools, a lot of ideas. ways to get involved in important causes like Be Kind movement. So even if it's just 3 things, so it doesn't feel too overwhelming of thinking of loads of things, just think of 3 things of key takeaways that you've gained from today's event. Thank you very much, Claire, for sharing that. Really appreciate it, and glad you enjoyed the session today. So write down 3 things that are key takeaways for you. What one step will you take to be kinder to yourself starting now? Because self-kindness creates a positive ripple effect for others as well. So it benefits you as well as other people. What one step will you take to be kinder to yourself starting now? And the last question is, what will I do to help myself take action if I'm feeling a little bit unmotivated? All right. So again, going back to the theme of this event today being around how we adapt our wellbeing practices during the winter months. So if you are having any days here and there where you're feeling a little less motivated, or it feels a little bit difficult to take action on things, using all the tools and insights from today's event, what will help you to take action? All right. So I hope that those questions help empower you on your next steps. I just want to say again, a big thank you to Pramela and to Devorah for being here today as our special guest speakers. I'm just going to bring Devorah back on as well to say a goodbye. So thank you both, ladies. It's been wonderful to connect with you, and really appreciate everything that you've brought to the event today.
Thank you so much. I feel really, really grateful to be able to participate and support the work of Be Kind movement. And of course, this is calmer, this calmer movement.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Devorah. It was lovely to meet you. I love what you spoke.
Thank you. I also love the video. I was like, really feeling, I have 2 little kids, and I just, I'm not in the cafeteria with them, and you just never know when that moment happens where they'll just get just a comment that shuts them down. And it's incredible to witness your journey, that you had that experience of being bullied, and look at what you've created from that. Thank you so much.
So much to learn from one another today. And also just want to say a big thank you to the Karma team. You know, a lot of people are behind these events that happen here. So I just want to send a lot of gratitude to my wonderful team, who I'm always very, very grateful for. So thank you, everyone. Be kind to yourselves. Take care of yourselves, and wishing you a wonderful rest of the year and festive season. Thank you.